So I'm going to call regular council meeting of October 15th, 2024 to order. I'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Young man, would you start with the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Melissa, would you like to start the roll call?
Yes. President Brennan,
Here.
Vice President Ondo,
Here.
Councilman Eads,
Present.
Councilwoman Frye,
Present.
Councilman Shields,
Here.
Councilman Bodian,
Here.
Councilman Youngkins,
Here.
Mayor Foss,
Here.
Public Works Director Mr. Vicey,
Here.
Code Enforcement Officer Mr. Cannon,
Here.
Fire Chief Coles,
Here.
Mr. Ivashevik,
Here.
Police Chief Bullard,
Here.
and Engineer.
Here.
Everyone's here. And
Thank you.
I do. And I forgot David. Borough Manager.
Here.
Forgot my
You didn't
boss.
even make the list.
Okay, so we're going to move to our reports. I'd just make a brief president's report. We've been working on many items. We've been working on the budget. We had a meeting, a finance meeting yesterday. We're preparing for the budget for 2025. Many items were discussed. We will be announcing a separate meeting for a budget agenda. Dave, you can give that date when you speak. So we're preparing for that. We've had several meetings on blight and several meetings now have been talked about that. All has been well. I believe that part of our budgetary process is dealing with the collapsed landslide on Creek Street. So there's many items we have to deal with, and we're working on all of them. One of the items, I don't know if it's on our agenda tonight, talk about tonight, is we're working on the old municipal building and trying to get things together there so we can get that building up and running. And we're also talking about discussions about the third floor in this building. So there's a lot of talk and a lot of people are working on many items. Okay, that's all I have for now. Mayor's report.
Sure. First, I want to introduce the Mayor's Youth Advisor to the council this year, Piper Olak. She's a senior at Still Valley High School, and she's going to go to college at Pitt next year. And so she is the new advisor, Mayor's Youth Advisor to Council. And I guess part of the job, what she does is she takes things back to the school, what's going on sometime here. And you report to them what's happening on council, especially anything pertains to the school district. And if things are going on at Piper at the school that you think we need to know about, even activities that are going on, please let us know. And so I want to welcome Piper to this year's Mayor's Youth Advisory Council. Thanks, Piper. And mine's report short tonight too. The only thing that I have is the Halloween parade is October 26th. It is on Main Street, and in the agenda later you'll see we'll be closing Main Street for a few hours for it. And lineup is at 2, parade to start at 2:30, and we're pretty much done by 4 o'clock. The short parade goes from First Commonwealth to the Fire Hall. This year, Lori has done it for years, and thank you, Lori. Over 30 years. You've done a great job at running this parade, and you've really did a great job. Continue help this year.
Yes, I'm still helping. I haven't left completely, but.
No, she hasn't left us. Munhall Cares has gotten a little more involved this year, so Lori, actually, we have a little more help now, Lori. So we're ready to go, I think, on the 26th for the parade. And please all come out to it. It's always a great time, and the kids like to see the crowd there and see all the kids in costume. That's all I really have for my report tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. Solicitors report?
Yes, thank you, President Brennan. First item I want to bring up is a draft ordinance I prepared based on direction from Borough Council. That would be amending our zoning ordinance for the R2 zoning district, or residential zoning district, to add an additional permitted use. This matter was heard and considered by the Planning Commission. They recommended approval of it. We discussed it last month. So I drafted an ordinance at the direction of council that would allow a new principal use in the R2 zone as follows. Redevelopment of existing structures identified as, essential services, churches, schools, or recreational facilities, which are regulated in the R1 district, which are converted to multifamily dwelling units, provided they have minimum parking defined as one off-street parking space for each dwelling unit. This was recommended by the Planning Commission, as I already said. Apparently, we have developers who have expressed interest in vacant structures that can't be used for that purpose. So this would put them back to use. Council expressed an interest in this, so the ordinance is ready at this point, but we have to send it to the County Planning Commission and give them 45 days to review and comment. So if council wants me to do that, that will be the next step. Once we hear back from them and complete that process, then we would advertise and we could adopt. So does council want me to go to the next step and send this to the County Planning Commission for their review? We don't need a formal vote, I just give you a nod of heads or something to go to the next step with that, is that okay?
Yes.
All right, okay, I'll do that. Then the only other thing, just some things on the agenda, just wanted council and the public to be aware of the memorandum of understanding between the school district and the borough for police services. I worked on that, it's approved in final form, ready for vote to approve. And the ordinance to join the Tri-Cog Land Bank, which was discussed last month. I did some work on that, and that's ready to go as well, and it's on the agenda tonight for consideration by council. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Engineers report?
Thank you, Mr. President. I only have 2 items to report. 1, paving is completed, and 2, as I said last week, we got that grant for Creek Street for $140,000 through the low volume dirt and gravel road program through the Conservation District. That's all I have to report for you this month.
Thank you. Code enforcement?
You have a copy of my report. I'll briefly read it to you. Building permits issued were 10, occupancy inspections 28, lien letters sent out 16, code enforcement letters 138, and I had 19 court hearings. 4 people were found guilty for a total of $7,500. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Public Works?
I got the leaf machine up and running. Called the furnace guy for the old borough building. He said he'd call me back in a half hour. He never did. But I'm not taking that as a good sign.
Okay.
So I'm gonna try to find either another furnace guy or,
Well, we're gonna have to find someone to get heat on in the building.
yeah.
Okay.
That's all I have.
So are you gonna take that on and get someone over there?
Yeah, I'm looking. I'm gonna make some phone calls.
Okay.
Can I talked to Jim Barca, who's Jim Jr., who runs the maintenance down the library. He does have somebody that takes care of the library boilers.
Good.
And he said, it's hard to find anyone to work on boilers. Maybe you can give him a call, I'll talk to you and
Okay.
get back and forth. We need somebody that does commercial boilers,
Yeah.
steam, yeah, whatever. So he has somebody that works on the library.
Good. Awesome. Anything else, Bob?
That's all I have.
Thank you. Chief of Police's report?
Thank you, Mr. President. Council has a copy of my report for the month of September. Police Department responded to 667 calls for service, made 38 arrests, conducted 102 traffic stops, and issued 101 traffic citations. Officers worked 136 hours of extra details, 81 hours of regular overtime, and 87 hours of court overtime. On September 17th, Munhall Police Department participated in the Click It or Ticket. There was 4 officers, and they each worked 4-hour shifts. They towed a total of 20 vehicles, issued 21 citations, and made 2 arrests. For training, Detective Trout completed a 2-day sexual assault investigation training, and the Munhall K-9 unit participated in a locker search at Steel Valley High School, Middle School. That's all I have.
Hey, Chief, how much of that overtime, the 81 hours, was because of the Park School having an officer there 5 days?
24 hours.
24 hours, that's good.
But Chief, I asked you last week about the officer, and you said overtime, you said we only had 3, but I didn't ask you how many shifts we were short during that time because of the officer being in school.
So Officer Paunawas has been up at Park School full-time. This is the 4th week. Out of the 28 days, 17 of them on daylight, there was only 2 officers. The majority of the other shifts are at least 3 or 4. Like I said, there was 3 extra turns as a result. Sundays are a problem. We only have 2 officers scheduled for Sundays. So if somebody takes off on a Sunday, then that's where the extra turn comes in. The rest of the week, we only have 3 officers scheduled, and if they take off or go to court, then we're down to 2, and it's getting to be 2's not enough.
Thank you.
Chief, any details on the shooting? Any investigation on that?
Yeah.
Somebody shooting you guys?
It was actually caught on video.
Okay.
That's all I can say right now.
Any other questions for the chief? Fire chief, how about a report?
Thank you, Mr. President. For the month of September, the Bureau of Fire responded to 49 calls, 27 in-town, 22 mutual aid requests for help. Our average from dispatch to the first unit en route was 4 minutes and 10 seconds, and for the first unit to be on scene was 5 minutes and 55 seconds. We just completed several classes, including a live burn session for all of our members, and we are currently involved in a vehicle rescue class going on in the back lot. Still have 4 of those left to go. And we just finished doing our fire prevention safety talks at St. Teresa's and Park School. And we spoke to approximately 600 kids between both of those schools. That's all I have for now.
Thank you, chief. Do we have a tax collector report?
Yeah, I have some numbers from her.
Okay.
To date, the tax collector has collected from property taxes $4,679,419, and estimates to bring at the end of the year will probably be about $485,000. So we're almost to the end of tax collection, but maybe $150,000 more than she's expecting to collect by the end of the year.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation report?
Rob gave 90% of my talk about the Halloween parade. The one thing I mentioned, so if anybody would like to help at the fire hall on Wednesday, 23rd, 6:30, to fill goodie bags for everybody, we'll be there downstairs.
Anybody needs community service hours for his school or high school, welcome to come up. We'll sign community service hours papers for you. If you want to pass that along to your friends.
I'd just like to mention one thing about Parks and Rec. It was brought to my attention by ex-councilman from the projects about they have a park in the back there. The park is on their property. The borough has put equipment on that property, and it needs some minor attention done to that park. He's asked council to look into that if council is willing to help that situation out. And I wanted to bring it to everyone's attention.
So we put the park in on their property.
I believe so.
Apparently it came from a grant, from what I understand too.
No, I mean, we're just, all the issues we have on Ravine Street, us on other people's property, is costing us in the long run. I think we should make sure we're not doing that for
Brought to my attention. The borough did put we'll call it the playground equipment there. There's some minor things that need done to it, and they're asking for help.
What do they actually want? Want it removed?
They want some of there's railroad ties and whatnot there that need to be removed. They're really not safe, and there's a top of a slide that the borough took off. They're wondering if it can be put back on. Something can be tightened up a little bit. Doesn't sound like a lot of work.
Did you see it?
I did not see it. I did not. But it was brought to my attention. So I'm bringing it to council's attention. We'll move forward to the sewer authority's report.
Ms. Coles came in and gave us a complete report last week. We have quite a few large grants and a couple big projects going on. If you look in the minutes, you'll see everything. I don't want to state nothing wrong. I wasn't at the meeting, I was out of time this month.
Okay. Any questions? Manager's report?
All right, a couple things. We'll start with the budget. I'm on the fourth iteration of the budget now, and I think it's in a good spot. I've shared the latest copy with the council that's in their packets. But if you need a copy, let me know. I'm going to talk with the department heads this week, next week, show it to them, get their feedback, what needs to be moved around, or get their input. And then I would like to present it again to the council at the next workshop in November, beginning of November. And November 21st, I'd like to have a public meeting, the Thursday week before Thanksgiving, to go through the budget and respond to input from the council and the public. And we should be on schedule for passing it by the December council meeting. So we don't have to come in on New Year's Eve to pass the budget. So the process is going along well. Let me know if you have any questions about anything in the budget, and we'll keep working on it. Beyond that, a couple of minor things. That's real quick. That's the budget's been my main concern right now, and I've dealt with a couple of other issues, but right now, beyond what I spoke about last week, I don't have anything more to add unless you have specific questions.
I have one question about the budget and
Yes.
relating to voting to hire a full-time police officer. Do you recommend we hire a full-time police officer? Because with the budgetary meeting we had, the finance meeting showed that there was not money there to hire.
There's two considerations right there. First of all, it looks like we might be having an opening coming up very soon, at the beginning of next year. The one advantage to hiring officers now is there's one that is available that's going to be hired. If we wait until next June, January, February, March, when an opening is available, we might have to start the process over. That's the timing consideration. Budgetary wise, I'm not confident of recommending hiring somebody at this point, but the one advantage is to hire somebody because there's somebody available and you know we can get them.
Okay.
So those are the two things. It's not, it doesn't really fit in our budget at this point in time, but next year there will be openings for it, but you understand what I'm saying.
I understand. Thank you. Any other questions for the manager?
I got a question.
Yeah.
But even though we don't have it in the budget, but isn't the school going to pay for the officer until the end of the school year? And this way, when that officer retires, we won't have to pay the money to get another test when the school's paying for the officer that we're hiring right now. It's not going to conflict in the budget anywhere. because the one officer has to leave by June at the latest, and the kids get out of school in June, and that's when we'd have to start paying the officers. So we'd lose a pay there, but we'd gain it.
Yeah, it's a valid consideration. The only immediate cost of the borough is overtime in basically his extra 3 shifts a week. Is it 3 shifts a week roughly?
It's just only been 3 shifts
3
in
shifts
4 weeks.
But there's a shortage of staff during daylight.
But yeah, we're short every
So
day.
it's, I can't comment more than what I've already said, because it's really up to the council to make that final
But the
decision.
school does pay
Pays it through the end of the year, yes.
through the end of the year.
Mo-
And the end of the
almost all
school
it.
year is in June.
Yes.
So they're gonna pay an officer's wage from now until June. So it doesn't affect our budget at all until June, and at that time, we might even have 2 officers going, am I correct?
Yes, that's
Thank you.
possible. Okay.
Anything else, Dave?
Nothing comes to mind, but I'll pipe in if it comes back
Okay.
later on.
All right. Okay, let's move on. We're going to approve the minutes for September 24th. September 17th council meeting minutes. I need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion, Mark. I need a second. Any second?
I second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. September 10th, workshop meeting.
Motion.
Motion by Dave. Second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bonadine. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Do we have any registered presenters?
Well, one quick thing I forgot to mention real quick. We did get the 2023 audit completed as of a week and a half ago. We'll get physical copies in the next couple weeks. I'll share that with the council.
Thank you. Okay, items up for discussion with public comment. There are no registered presenters. Items for discussion with public comment.
I'll take the lead on the first item. I was approached by someone that we don't currently have any animal control mechanism in place, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? Anybody?
You use Sable kennels, don't you?
Okay.
For dogs.
For dogs. But other potential nuisances, there is not one. I've been given a proposal, and I'm not saying we vote on it at all. I will share it with you. But it's basically a way to handle pests beyond dogs that might infiltrate the borough. I'm not saying we do anything at this point in time, but I just want to know what the council thinks regarding how, if we want to address this problem moving forward. In general, not specifically for this proposal. Is it a need right now, or is what we have currently sufficient?
I'll go first. There is a problem, I know, with stray cats, and a lot of residents, when it's sitting out there, helps rescue a lot of them for people. But there is a few places out there that do handle stray cats, and I don't know if it's, take a look at having a company. I know there's one in Westport called Fur All Kitties that maybe can look into helping us with some of the stray cat problems.
What they do is they trap them, they
Right.
spay and neuter them and bring them back. They bring them back though.
Yeah.
If they're feral, if they're feral.
Yeah. They
If
bring
they're
them back.
friendly, they don't come back.
It,
They get put up for adoption.
the McQuaid family did it on 19th. It was fine until we started getting other cats to come back.
I just got 2 cats last week from 19th Street. They knocked on my front door and handed them to me, and I did not turn them down. I took them both. So,
If I could add to that, I got a phone call this afternoon from a person that says that across the street from where this individual lives, somebody was feeding a cat. Then, a couple of days later, there was 2 cats, and then 3 cats, and then 5 cats. So, this individual was actually supposed to call you, Dave, about it. I guess it didn't happen, but that's the problem that we're having with people feeling sorry for these animals, but it gets out of control.
it is out of control, but it's the human's fault that it's out.
It is. And then it becomes whose problem. So, Dave, I'm guessing you're gonna get a phone call from.
Yeah,
Feral Kitties is willing to work with the borough. I'm from the rescue itself. We are willing to work with the borough to maybe help facilitate spay and neuter clinics, to do things to just bring a little bit more awareness so that the problem can be remedied. The main problem is that they just keep reproducing. And yes, people feel sorry. Also, there's an issue because people can't afford their animals. Simple as that. So, maybe the borough can partner with, the big ones in the county, Animal Friends, HAR, Humane Animal Rescue, to get money to have food food and supply drives. They do it in Braddock. Maybe we could do it here that could give the residents some more opportunity to take care of their cats so that they don't put them on the street. We just were in Denora from West Mifflin to help, facilitate their problem in Denora. So it's definitely something that we're willing to work on with you all.
Cool.
Is there a cost to the borough?
Absolutely. It's not free for us either. We work 100% on donations. A clinic, for instance, is about $4,000. It fixes 40 cats, 20 female, 20 male. We staff it. We all work full-time. We take PTO days for these clinic days. It's insane. But we're passionate about fixing the problem. So, roughly $200,000 is what we took in last year, 100% donations. So that's the bleeding hearts of the people who want to fix the problem. We met Denora halfway. We did $50. The people in the borough paid their $50. We do a lot of times, if you bring your cat in a trap, we'll do it for free because we have good donors. But, that will dry up. Money only goes so far. The boroughs have more reach. Simple as that. The boroughs have more reach with getting money, getting grants, things like that. I mean, I totally get it. You all don't have the money to give us $4 grand 2 or 3 times a year. Get it, but let's try to fix the problem.
I know she's already met with Representative Girdley, right?
Yeah, I have met with Matt Girdley before.
Representative
Absolutely.
Piscitano, Chris Kelly, and myself.
Yeah.
So that's, maybe some doors we can knock on there is our state rep and so forth.
My phone rings constantly because people know that I help. I've had a couple calls from the police officers. Hey, Lori, I'm in the house. The 95-year-old man that lived here died. He has a cat. I run down there. I grab it. In fact, it's at Misty's. So a lot of times the spay, neuter, and release for me comes out of our own pockets. Sometimes he doesn't even know about it, but so I just take care of it. I contact a rescue to help me to get an appointment at least, and then I take care of it myself. It's a lot of work, but I'll tell you, within 14th, 16th, and 19th Street, there's probably 80 cats out there.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and I tried trapping recently. I've set traps, I've knocked on doors, but some of the doors, honestly, I'm scared to go knock on. But I've knocked on doors saying, please don't feed the cats, I'm trying to trap. So I'll go down, I'll set some traps, I'll go down, the next thing you know, they're eating on the porch.
I can't set a trap to catch a raccoon family because there's cats around.
Yes, right. Well, the cats and the raccoons actually get along very well. But, I mean, it's hard. It's a lot of work, and we can't do it on our own.
I set a trap and caught a skunk.
Yeah, I've caught skunk before. I've caught possums.
Possums,
Right, yeah. I'm helping a Greensburg rescue trap in West Mifflin because the guy moved to Ligonier, and he actually took all 10 cats with him up to Ligonier. He made a nice barn out for them, and he has it set up beautifully. But we can't catch the mama, and she is not fixed. So we've been over there. I've been setting that trap with those ladies probably for a week. So we'll go anywhere. We go anywhere. If someone calls and needs the help, my main colony is in McKeesport, but Misty's in McKeesport quite a bit too.
And even just education, school education is something that we'd like to do, and maybe, if we had more funds and more time, we could educate the youth, because we do see, it's something that a cycle that's just gonna continue. You hear the kids are, we enjoy doing Main Street Market night. We get to talk to the kids when they come up, and, some of them say, oh, we gotta get rid of it because it starts to pee. Well, it's because it's not fixed, and then there you go, it's a daddy. it's a grandpa, it's an uncle. So,
And it happens fast.
education is important, I think,
It-
as well as the money.
Now, the city has a program where every resident gets 5 free spay and neuters per year. They took it away for a while, and they recently brought it back. I don't know if that's something that the borough can help us with by contacting the big guys like Animal Friends, Humane Animal Rescue, and maybe trying to help out with some type of a program. I'm not asking for you to pay for it, but I'm asking maybe if you negotiate something with them, that we can help these people, because these people, once they get your name and number, they're calling you.
So, does this pertain to, like, someone said raccoons, and what do we have, what's in stake if we have like raccoon problems, or we have
I've
some
had
other,
such luck
we have
with,
foxes or something going on, Dave? What's the protocol?
We really don't have anything set up for anybody.
So I can answer that. I've worked with Rebecca at Humane Animal Rescue. She's the wildlife officer. I've worked with her. I caught 3 fox on my front porch. And I delivered them.
If they don't come, they're asking, we have somebody
No, that lady, there's a lady on 15th, or West and 15th that had a raccoon problem. And they wanted a ton of money from her. So there is, not that I know of, there's no raccoon program around.
So there are contracts here that we have.
It's just an example, basically it would cover non-dog cat issues, it would be other things.
Oh, okay, all right.
So, but everything costs money, so you gotta debate where you want to get the resources.
So we need to look at this then.
Yeah, I just put it on the agenda so we could kind of start discussing what the
Okay.
needs are of the community and also the council.
All right.
It definitely needs looked at. It would really be appreciated by those of us that TNR. I mean, I'm not even a rescue. I volunteer at rescues and I help people trap. I just dropped off some traps down on Lee Street of a lady that wants to get her stray cat fixed. So, I mean, we're all willing to help. It's just,
Okay.
need help.
We're gonna take this under consideration, and council, we should discuss this at our workshop. And we have a couple items here that we can look at.
Just know that for all kitties, they're a fantastic group. I mean, they'll be out till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning if they have to.
Okay.
So they are a huge help in the communities.
Thank you. Next is discussion on raising the Westfield rates.
Yes, that's just initial discussion. I came up with some calculations, but I don't see them in our packets, but we can talk about more at the workshop. But, oh, you have it? Okay, good. Basically, we've spent for Westfield for this year, we will have spent by the end of the year about $70,000 in maintenance of the Westfield. And I don't think our current rates are really responding to that, and also the other concern is the fact that in the next year or two, we'll probably have to put a significant amount of money into replacing that entire field. So we'll talk about more at the workshop, and maybe even the December meeting, but I had some recommendations in this breakdown of what we should raise it to, and this might even be a little higher than that anyways. So that's just something to talk about, but I just wanted to have council aware of the current rates and where our finances are, and I don't think it's really responding to, it's costing us more to maintain it than we're getting money from it.
Okay. Borough building improved security.
Yes, other thing that I've noticed when I first got here is it could be an unsafe building. People could access the building and cause problems. And I've spoken with Telephonics regarding a possibility of installing card readers on the 3rd floor stairwells. So people can't get to the 3rd floor without a key card, as well as putting the same kind of system into the elevator. So you can shut off the 3rd floor as well that way, and people can only go up to the 3rd floor with the authorization. And we also talked about yesterday, the committee meeting, finance committee meeting, is possibly putting in a door right in front of where the mayor's office is, right next to the elevators. So the mayor's office would be on the secure side, or basically opposite of where the police are. A similar kind of door to limit access to that. We could put a camera in the reception of the admin's office, and she can let people in, just to maybe look at that as a possible way to restrict unwanted access. I'm not saying we don't want the public involved entering, but we want to make sure the employees are as safe as possible.
Makes sense. Okay. You can mention.
This is for council. Are we still in agreement with allowing David Cassior to post our videos from the meetings?
Sure. Is there a problem?
All those in favor?
Well, he's not attending the meetings.
He's
Okay.
not
He's
attending,
gonna,
but
he's
he
gonna process the meetings
can post them.
and post them, and that's really where the work is.
Yeah,
Everybody's for it?
Sure.
Cool.
nothing changes that he won't be at the meetings.
No.
Right.
That's
Right.
fine.
Okay. So public comments on items for consideration. Any public comments? Yes, ma'am.
vacant property that's not being kept up.
Could you stand and give us your name and your address?
Not really, but I will. Excuse me, Trinity. Okay, my name is Raquel Slaughter. I've been owning my home for about 30 years, 705 East 17th Avenue. And my concern is the raccoons and the deers. My other concern is there's a house 703 East 17th. And I'm so sick and tired of calling the code enforcement person to come to have that owner take care of that property. It's been vacant about 15 years or longer. He never takes care of it. I keep my property meticulous. I'm like the best neighbor to have, for real, for real. I keep my property spotless. And the owner, I gotta call the code enforcement person like 3-4 times a year. I'm sick of it. Andrew Street, it's the 1613, that's the address. And it's a lot there, and the property there is terrible. Me and my grandchildren, we just drove by there before I came. It's, the grass is high, it's a lot. And it's just terrible, and I'm just like sick of paying property tax, borough tax, school tax, keeping my property meticulous, and I really, you know.
So it's an empty lot?
It's an empty lot, 1613 Andrew Street. And I'm just kind of like about a month ago, I was getting in my car, been at the post office 34 years, come out, there's a raccoon right there, and I'm coming out, I got to be at work at 6 a.m. in the morning. I get in my car at 5:30 in the morning, and it's like a raccoon right there, and I'm like, oh my God, and I slide in my car. He's looking at me, I'm looking at him, I'm terrified, I'm like, so I'm just frustrated, very, very frustrated. This is my first meeting, and I got a lot to say, a lot on my heart, but you know, I'm just addressing little concerns right now, so.
I know what you're talking about, and it is terrible.
It's terrible, it's terrible. Like I said, my property is spotless. I just put on a brand new roof. You know, I keep it together, everything. And I'm just tired of calling the code enforcement person for help all the time. You know, and I just want people to keep their property together, because if I ever rent my property or sell my house, you know, it's gonna take the value down,
So Dave, do you know anything about that?
Yeah, I know about both those properties, 705 East 17th.
That's where I live.
Well, I mean, 703, I'm sorry, 703 East, they have been sent letters. What they do is they wait till the last minute and cut the grass.
Yeah, but they only cut it once a year.
No, they cut more than that.
No,
The other
once a
one,
year.
613, he was taken to the magistrate. His next hearing's on, I want to say either the 28th or the 5th of November. He was one of the ones that I took earlier in the year that did show up.
Okay. Well, we empathize with your problem.
Are we still cutting the vacant lots?
No.
I thought we decided to do that again.
Yeah, I've given, but I mean, it all depends on what Bob's schedule is to really cover it, but I've told him, I've had Dave coordinate with him to kind of try to
The
get.
solicitor recommended we do not do that.
It should be a last resort. We have to exhaust all legal means to compel the owner to take responsibility and comply with the ordinances and the codes. It's not the taxpayers that should pay to cut private property, but I
And
understand.
I take care of it.
I don't know, and I'm sure.
Been
that's
doing other
appreciated.
people's property. That's
Well,
not even my
We
responsibility.
wish that all the owners were like you, but to send borough workers on there, which is paid for by tax dollars, it has to be a last resort, it has to be a health concern. We gotta try to make the owners do the right thing, and that's what Dave is doing, that's code enforcement. That's the start. So I'm not saying he can't do it, but it's gotta be a last resort.
Mr. Ty, are we clarifying that policy? Because I know we discussed that at the Blight meeting, clarifying the ordinance, and Mr. Solicitor, I'm not sure if I'm speaking correctly, but I don't believe that's what the ordinance actually says. I think it's a 5-day notice, and then if it's labeled a nuisance, that they would be able to essentially put a lien on that property.
What my perspective was, is basically, as our last resort, really, after we've exhausted every possibility through code enforcement of having public works go on there, and then basically sending them a bill. And if they pay it, they pay it. They're not legally obligated to pay it, but they might just pay it. And at that point, we could, in theory, put a lien on, but that's a process longer. I don't want to go down that path for a few $100s. But it's not clear in the ordinance. It is a little bit clear in the ordinance, but we also have to go with the recommendation of the solicitor and the council. So there's definitely different perspectives here. So we're just trying to navigate as best as we possibly can and solve the problem, but do it so it's not a burden on the borough or the other citizens.
Yeah, so if she's clearly saying this is a multi-year problem.
Yes.
So.
I'll talk with that particular property. I'll talk with Mr. Cannon about how often he estimates they end up cutting the grass. But they do. People know how to game the system. They'll stretch it out and get extensions, and before the end of the year, the grass is dead anyway. So, you know, it's some people just don't seem to have the shame they're not shamed into basically maintain their property. They just don't care. And
All right, let's move on. You had a question as well.
Yeah, Donna Drushman, 4th Avenue, Munhall. Motion 4, then we jump down to motion 2. Once the bills are paid, do we know what our balance is? Okay, I'll give you a minute, you can let me know. Thanks. You're lucky I love you. So let's go to A. If we hire them part-time, are they able to be stated to full-time? Officer, if we hire somebody this evening, are they able to go full-time?
If they go through civil service, yes. Which means they would have to take a civil service test, psychological, physical. Once they complete all that, they could start out part-time and move to full-time.
So if we hire somebody tonight, did they already take a civil service test that was offered a few months ago?
Yes, but that was for full-time.
For full-time? Okay, thank you. Under B, with the memorandum of understanding, what is the amount that the school district is paying the borough for the resource officer? Is it an hourly rate?
Yes.
And do we know what that is?
It's whatever they're paid by the borough. So
what is that hourly rate then?
It's total package.
I understand that.
65 an hour.
65 an hour.
That includes their health care and everything.
Yeah.
Thank you. And under C and F for the land bank, what is the cost for the borough to join that?
Annual cost is, it's not finalized yet. It is 5% of the delinquent taxes collected, averaged out over 3 years. Current estimates, depending on whether, if it's the entire amount we collect, which is about $400,000 on average, but that's not the delinquent taxes on property, that's taxes and fees. So if it's just the actual delinquent taxes, then it's about $200,000. So it's between $10,000 to $20,000 a year, roughly, is the answer I'm giving you.
So that's what it would cost per year for Munhall to join?
Yes,
And then they would take the land bank would take that money and buy property in
yes.
the borough.
And
'Cause
and improve property, yes.
I did notice that this past Sunday's real estate section, that the land bank bought 3 properties in Homestead and 3 properties in West Homestead. I just want you to think before you vote on it, do you think it's gonna be feasible right now with the way the budget is? So, please think hard before you vote.
We already voted.
We voted already.
Join it?
We already voted.
I thought tonight was to adopt
No, we
the
voted to
ordinance to
advertise.
join.
We have to vote to adopt the ordinance.
We already voted last meeting.
Okay, so all I can say is thank you for thinking.
Okay.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Just to finish up what I talked about last week with Margaret shared the information for the borough manager, but total of 54 either empty lots or houses or apartments or duplexes. 1 apartment, 1 duplex, 9 houses are on the blighted list, 31 houses that aren't on the blighted list. There are 12 vacant lots with total 54 properties. You take the blighted houses plus the vacant lots, 38.8% of 900 feet, which if you measure in Google Maps, for where the houses start to where they end, right there, 38%, you could categorize those as either an empty lot or a house that was on the blight list that the borough had. Hopefully, this type of information can help with grants in the future, and other things to go back to, state and federal officials for perhaps some help. I'll provide this to the borough manager if you want me to look into other areas, I gladly will.
Bill, would you have time to sit with the manager sometime and discuss this?
Absolutely.
That way we can get it like all together and what we want to do.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's just really looking at the data itself, and perhaps there is a way. I mean, I realize it is not an easy course, so the code enforcement officer has to, and the borough manager, but I don't think we have good data on really how big the problem is. And that's, I think, once we have that data, I think we can look at opportunities with grant writers and other potential, the solicitor, and other things right there to take a look at this problem and potentially find solutions for it. I don't think there's any silver bullet, but I'll provide this to the borough manager and gladly meet. And I do have a call out to Seth Abrams, which he hasn't returned my call yet in reference. I wanted to have David meet up with Seth and maybe get some answers to some of the building issues and some of the budget things right there. Seth agrees to do that, so that's my only comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Brad Petriga, 1332 Margaret. F, what would be the purpose of motion F then? Is that is that a question? Is that
Don't know.
a unanimous vote?
The purpose of it is technically to join the COG, the borough has to adopt this ordinance that has been negotiated by the county and all the other parties.
Okay. I guess I'm just trying to figure out if we're saying we've already joined the land bank, and there's a vote on whether to join the land bank for the ordinance.
We haven't. We took a phone poll, there was a time deadline. And there was insufficient time to wait for this meeting to make a motion to advertise the ordinance and have it advertised for consideration next month. So I said to the manager, you need to take a phone vote of council because we have a time deadline. This is an urgency to advertise it, which we did, so it's advertised. So that's what was voted on, which will be affirmed tonight. The motion to adopt the ordinance will be voted on tonight for the first time.
So what's the context of that vote?
What does that mean?
I guess, I'm trying to understand, is this something that is a done deal, or is this like an affirmation of the decision that was made?
No, it's not done until motion F passes.
Okay. So then my follow-up would be, I'd like to speak in favor of motion F. Joining the land bank has obviously been one of the things that we see regularly in the community of a positive action to take by boroughs to address blight. to address some of these vacant properties. We're, again, at another meeting where a citizen is showing up and speaking towards a vacant property issue. Of course, there is a cost with that. I think the cost is minimal based on the number of houses they'll acquire and also the upkeep that they will provide on the houses that they acquire. We can't afford to allow houses to continue into disrepair in this community, and unfortunately that is what is currently happening. I'm not necessarily convinced that any kind of that this is going to be the only one part of this plan that will help do that. There has to be other parts, but I think this is one of several moves that council should make and can take in order to address vacant properties like the one we heard tonight. I think that also goes towards this 38.8% that is actually on my street. I didn't ask Mr. Hanna to do this, but I appreciate it because this is the street in which I live, where half the houses are either vacant lots or blighted properties. I think that's all I have to say on that motion, but I hope you will vote in favor of motion F.
Yeah, I just want to correct something I said. This last month's meeting was somewhat long, but there was a lot of discussion among council members about whether or not to join. And there was a vote to join, all right? And then there has been a vote to advertise, but the ordinance is the last step. So that's what we're acting on now, is a motion to adopt the ordinance, the last step. Thank you.
Could you clarify the phone vote on,
To advertise the ordinance.
the phone vote was to just advertise the ordinance?
Yes.
Okay, because the public can't speak on a phone vote, can they? How does the public, because normally before council votes on anything, the public is allowed to speak, because in previous council meetings years ago, when they went to add an item to the agenda, the public always had the chance to speak on it. So in other words, the public can't speak on a phone vote, correct?
They were able to speak at the meeting before the phone vote.
We discussed the land bank last month. This isn't coming up for the first time tonight.
Well, no, I
Discussed
understand
at
that.
length. And you're correct, Donna. On a rare occasion, I will give a legal opinion authorizing a phone vote. I prefer not to do that, but we had a deadline. We couldn't join the land bank unless the motion was advertised in sufficient time for tonight's meeting. So I made a legal ruling under those circumstances, I authorized it. So it should go through me, and it did. I talked to the manager and said that's okay.
Okay, I'm just questioning
Yeah.
because I didn't know what the deadline was or anything. I just,
Time was of the essence, and we weren't going to make the deadline.
It has to pass tonight because the deadline is Thursday.
Which would be the,
To be eligible to
17th.
participate next year, right? Because Thursday, the COG approves all final agreements and members participating for calendar year 2025. So we had to have the ordinance adopted prior to Thursday.
okay, so are we out of COG for a while then,
We're
or
not out of code.
No,
it's just for the land
The
bank?
land bank is run by the COG. It's
It's a separate entity.
yeah,
Okay,
It's a program run by the COG.
yeah.
okay, thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move on. Very good. Okay, so we need a motion to pay the bills for period September 1 through September 30, 2024, summarized as follows. Including payroll expenses, we have one total of $756,025.30. Not including payroll expenses, we have $388,122.58. So I need a motion.
I make a motion, we pay the bills.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 2, motion to approve payroll for the period ending 2024 September 12th, 2024 September 26th, with a grand total of $369,595.02. I need a motion. Motion. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Motion passes. So, question A, vote on the hiring of a part-time police officer.
That's a mistake on my part as a full-time police officer.
Oh. I was wondering how we're gonna vote on both.
Oh, yeah, I guess we could vote on both because that was originally written. So we tabled the whole thing. So I guess you could vote on part-time and full-time.
So how do we do that there, Mr. Solicitor?
Yeah, well, someone can make a motion for one or the other. If it's second, you would act on it, or you could make a motion and have council, people may be opposed to hiring any. So I think you gotta do an individual motion. Someone needs to make a motion, there's a second, it'll be considered. That motion, for example, if someone says, I make a motion to hire a full-time officer for the second, take a vote. If it's passed, then it's done. If it's defeated, someone can make a motion to hire a part-time officer, or vice versa.
Okay.
I make a motion to hire Jonathan Zotter full-time.
I second that.
So you have to take a roll call vote on that.
Okay, Melissa, want to do the roll call vote?
1 second.
Full-time, right?
Yes.
This is for the full-time officer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fry?
No.
Councilman Youngkins?
Yes.
Councilman Shields?
No.
Vice President Ondo?
No.
President Brennan?
No.
Councilman Votadian?
Yes.
Councilman Eads?
Yes.
All right, motion fails 4-3, correct?
Yes,
Count
sir.
that correct? All right, so if someone wants to make a motion for a part-time officer, you could do that now, because that's also on the agenda. If there's a second, it'll be voted on. I don't know if we have a candidate who wants part-time.
No.
Do you have a candidate?
No.
Oh, well,
So we gotta take a test and spend all that money.
all right. Well, if there's no candidate, then there's no point in voting. And that concludes that motion.
Okay. We'll move the motion B. Vote to approve the MOU between Steel Valley School District and the Borough of Munhall.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. Motion C, vote to close Main Street on October 26th from 1 PM to 4 PM for the Halloween parade.
I have a question on the motion.
Yes, sir.
Do we have to have this on the agenda?
I don't see why we do, but maybe we do. Do we need to have this on the agenda?
We never
Borough
have.
manager?
No.
Never did.
It's theirs.
It's, I mean, it could go either way, it'd be council's preference, so.
It's here, we might as
The
well.
manager will know in the future that'll just be an administrative decision, that's fine.
Okay. So I need a motion, a second? I had a motion to.
Second.
Second, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? It's unanimous. I'm not sure who made the motion, I think.
Made the motion.
Someone on this side, I think Rich did.
Who seconded, please?
I seconded it.
Thank
Who
you.
made the motion?
Mr. Votadian?
Oh, okay.
And Kevin second.
Vote to, number D, vote to apply for the local share account grant to apply for $749,090 for the Main Street Business District Improvement Project.
Motion.
I did. I did.
Motion by Tim, second by Dave, all in favor?
Aye.
Question on that, would there be like a letter to go out up to, from council? Or is that just?
No, Dan will have, there's a form I need to have Rick and I sign and send it to Dan, and he'll take it from there.
Okay, Thank you.
Number E, ratify the phone vote to publicly advertise for the Munhall ordinance joining the Tri-Cog Land Bank.
Motion.
Second by Tim, second by Dave. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. Vote to adopt the ordinance for Munhall Borough to join the Tri-Cog Land Bank.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor? Aye.
That's it.
All in favor? No nays? Motion passes. Vote to authorize Munhall minimum municipal obligation to the borough pensions, the Munhall Borough pensions A, B, and C, $312,300 to the police pension plan, $29,330 to the general pension plan, $43,589 to the defined contribution plan.
Motion.
Motion by Dave, second by Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes.
Mr. President, can I bring up, something was brought to my attention before the meeting that our grant writer, Dan, informed us there is another potential grant similar to motion D. It's the same amount, but it's a different provider.
Main Street, Main Street, Main Street Matters program.
Yeah, and it's for a substantial amount of money. The deadline is the end of the month. It's not on the agenda. Normally, I don't allow action on those items, but it costs us nothing to submit the grant application, and we don't want to miss out on the opportunity for that much money. So I'm giving a legal opinion that we can make a motion. This is a two-step process. First, I need a motion to amend the agenda. So if you will please call for that.
Call for a motion to amend the agenda.
Motion to amend.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All right, then the actual motion will be motion for the Grant Street,
Main,
or sorry, that's what my office is. It just comes out automatically, yeah. The Main Street,
the Main Street Matters is the grant program in the Main Street Business District.
all right, and to apply for $749,090 for the grant.
I motion.
Second.
Motion by Randy, second by Dave. All in favor?
Aye.
Question? So this is additional money for the grant that we're putting in for another grant? So it's an additional $749,000?
So if we get one, can we get both? That's the question.
Yeah, well, there's definitely enough work on Main Street, we can make that work.
Right. So yes, it is.
Two different sources of funds.
Yeah,
Okay.
If we get them both, we'll spend $1 million.
And is any of it matching from the
There's
borough?
usually some percentage matched from the borough. LSA has no matching. Main Street Matters used to be a different program until this year. I am not sure on the matching, but it's probably 10 to 20% of the borough. We can also, if there's, the council can, in the future can, if we get awarded the amount, the council can also reject the award if the matching is more than they feel is appropriate.
Is appropriate, and it would be for fixing sidewalks or
Sidewalks.
beautification?
sidewalks, beautification, yeah.
Well, the lights were fixed a while back.
They're bad.
Well, we know that.
Talk about
Didn't some,
replacement,
thank you,
not replacement.
Okay.
Get a new one.
Well, the clock has been broke for how many years, but
Get rid of the
it's,
bricks.
it is correct twice a day.
Hey Donna,
So,
pay attention to Facebook posts because there's a whole new group has been formed to start on the Main Street project. So there are people, it would be nice to have you at those meetings.
I'll try.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other public comments on non-agenda items?
I just have a couple of questions. Brad?
You didn't
Sure,
vote on
make it
this
quick,
one
Brad.
yet.
What?
Let's make it quick.
Did they vote on this?
I mean, I think I'll take my time.
Okay, take 3 minutes then.
Thank you.
The plans that we have, I'm kind of curious, the Main Street project, is there a scope for that project?
There is,
And is that available? Do we have that written out somewhere?
we do.
Yeah, I can get you a copy of the,
Perfect, awesome,
yeah,
thank
yeah.
you. As far as other plans go, has council adopted a strategic plan for moving forward?
Not really, no.
I believe there is a strategic plan.
Has council adopted that plan?
It's been adopted in the past, it's not been acted on.
Okay, so there's not an active strategic
No,
plan?
I think
right
there is
now.
an active plan, I don't know how active it is. It was done years ago. Not much is done. The sidewalks are part of the strategic plan to do the sidewalks in front of the Borough building.
Okay.
They haven't been done yet.
Okay.
So go ahead.
So does that mean there's not a strategic plan, I guess?
I don't know.
Okay,
Okay.
that's fine.
Is that what you want?
And then a comprehensive plan, is there a comprehensive plan for
I
Munhall?
think we have a comprehensive plan.
So,
We did a go over it couple of years ago. It was developed. It was never finalized, I think.
so it wasn't adopted?
I don't know.
May I, Rich?
Yeah, you may.
Seth was working on that,
Sure.
and of course, we know what happened, Seth left. We kind of got lost in the shuffle the last 4 months, but we will look into that with Dave, and we're gonna talk to Seth how far along we were, but it wasn't adopted.
Okay, great. Yeah, the reason I ask is a lot of times these grants that people are applying for, they're asking for some type of strategic plan or scope or
Right.
comprehensive plan. So a lot of times that will actually help your grant.
Well, if you don't have the plan, they're not gonna get the grant.
Exactly, so
You're
that,
right.
that's my concern is
So
that.
we do have a plan for Main Street.
Okay, yeah, so that, anyway, that's just my concern is, I'd like to see an active strategic plan or comprehensive plan.
We have a comprehensive zoning plan, which is ordinance 1381 in its entirety, sets forth the comprehensive zoning plan for this borough.
And then, I know we've talked a lot about LERTA, the local economic revitalization tax abatement. What would be the process for starting a ordinance for that type of program?
I would draft an ordinance if council's interested, but to make sure the school and the county have to also agree to participate.
Okay, and how, so would it be council that gives you information, or how do we determine the scope of that ordinance legally?
Oh, they have to tell, there are different abatement plans you can follow. For LERTA, it could be up to 10 years. You can follow different percentages. I mean, for example, it could be 100% tax abatement year 1, 80, 60, 40, 20, 10, 0, something like that. You decide how, just a determination of what council and the other taxing bodies need to be in agreement, how many years, what percentages. Then you have to identify an area. It's got to be a blighted, deteriorated area, and set the boundaries for that. So there's a lot of different decisions that have to be made that all go into an ordinance for LERTA.
And is there a body that would be appropriate to start with, the planning commission or a committee? Or?
It's up to council. The
Okay.
council could do the whole thing itself, or they could ask the planning commission to undertake that review.
Is there a recommendation for how council would like to pursue that if that's something we're interested in or discussing?
You want me to speak for all council?
Well, you're the president, I would just figure that direct that towards you.
Okay. I would love to see a LERTA plan.
How would you recommend we start hammering out those details?
Well, I think we need to hammer out our budget first and get our budget in order and our house in order. I think that is a priority. And I think maybe in the beginning of the year, we could start a process on an LERTA plan. And the LERTA plan can go, and like the solicitor said, into many different neighborhoods. It can be touched many different ways.
LERTA doesn't include residential, so it's going to be commercial, industrial only. There are different statutes that authorize tax abatement for residential, similar outlines. But if council's interested, it's really a workshop discussion, there's a lot to discuss, and you need to know that the school's on board. If the school doesn't want to do it, it's a waste of time, because to have an interested developer come in, they need to know they're getting the abatement from the school district as well, because the taxes are.
Yeah, it's the highest tax amount. Right. Okay, great. I know we talked about code enforcement software. Is there any update on that process with the code enforcement database?
We're still using a test system.
It's
It's a test system. We're still
okay.
in the
Is there any
testing.
like a timeline on when that'll become final?
I'd have to check with COG.
Okay. Great. And then just the last thing, the list of homes that was updated as blighted, do we have any type of plan as to how often that list will get published, or how often we'll have that list available to us to work through some of those houses? Is that something you can provide monthly, or
List on that too.
Like council's wishes, whatever they want me to provide.
is that something you could direct the council, whoever's making that?
Monthly might be a bit overzealous, but we can try to update it more
I
regularly.
think twice a year would probably be efficient, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I would think,
Right.
I mean, any regulation would
Right.
be good. Okay, great, that's all I have, thank you.
Are we still working on getting those vacant lots that we talked about last week? Are we still getting the list of those also?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. President, got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
We spoke last Thursday when we left here. We still good to give Vice City okay to remove that bench? in front of the
I think we should be, yeah. I mentioned that to all council.
What is it?
To remove the
The
bench.
bench in front of the old
The old
Shermans.
I'll talk. Is Bob here?
Oh, yeah, he's here.
Okay.
That's what, Rick and I spoke about it,
Because I
Rick and I spoke about it
Yeah.
Thursday after we left. I was just wondering if we're good on, removing that bench. Anybody have?
That's not a bus stop, is it?
No. it's on the
Now
other
the bus
side.
stop's in front of some whole schools. Good idea, Tim.
So we're all in favor of that, so we can,
I think we are.
Thank you.
Dave, any idea when the county's gonna come out with our assessed values for next year? Because that's gonna have a lot to do with our budget. I mean, if they're not gonna give it to us until December or January.
Donna McCurry would be the person to
Yeah, I'll talk
ask.
to Donna about that.
She gives that report out to everyone.
I'll talk to her.
But would you, do we know how many properties we have in, in appeal status right now for next
I
year?
don't have a number off the top of my head, but I did get 4 or 5 in the last couple of weeks. So it's constantly, it's much more than it normally is. I don't think that's going to end in the immediate future.
No, that's gonna be a disaster for all taxing bodies until they do a countywide reassessment. The percentage that we receive has gone down so much through the court order, everyone's losing substantial real estate tax revenue. With a common level ratio, it's a real problem financially for everybody.
Greg, do you think that we'll have next year's numbers, in December so we can move
They're so far
forward?
behind on all the appeals, Tim, that, I don't know. I mean, my brother handles hundreds and hundreds, maybe 1,000, in my office, my partner, for 7 municipalities, and they're very far behind on decisions on so many of these. So everything's on hold,
Right.
and you're oftentimes dealing with, by the time you get a final decision, there's resolution of a litigated case, it's 3 years later. So then we gotta make up the difference. If there's a reduction, we gotta then give refunds for 3 years. They're overwhelmed due to the number of appeals because of the common level ratio being reduced by the court so substantially. So they're behind, but when the list comes out from the county, I don't know, yet. Dawn is the best source for that.
Yes, she is. Okay, anything else? I need a motion to adjourn. Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you all for attending.